This is another iRaw podcast.
Welcome to Wildly Unplug, sharing stories of nature, conservation, and creativity. Discover what develops when you unplug and step outdoors. All right, welcome back, fellow explorers. I'm your guide, Lauren, and this is week 2 of Wildly Rejected, otherwise known as Becoming the Bison. And guess what? Rejection isn't exactly the hardest part. It's starting again. And here's what I didn't expect. Week 1 felt like a spark. Week 2 felt like a test because I didn't keep going nonstop. There was a little bit of a pause. There was a gap. The moment where I wasn't submitting, I wasn't reaching out, I wasn't asking. And that's when things started to get hard. And we always talk about fear before starting, but nobody talks about what happens when you completely stop after you've had some momentum going. And because of that, I almost felt immediately that this creeping sense of, am I losing momentum? Am I falling back into old patterns? Was this just a fad? Can I actually sustain this? And honestly, I didn't feel better until I started again. Not when I was thinking about it and ruminating about the rejections, when I was actually doing stuff and putting the asks out there. That's when everything started to shift back. There were a couple rejections in this past week that were pretty difficult. The Sea Turtle Conservancy t-shirt design rejection, that one hit hard because I cared about it and it aligns with my mission, and it wasn't just another submission. And after the heartache was over, I realized, like I said in the last podcast, that nothing is wasted. I can take elements from that design and turn it into prints, stickers, something new. So it's not a loss. It's just I didn't land there. We also did something for fun. We did the Key Westminster Dog Show. Yes, really. It was super cute and a ton of fun. And this was just a personal rejection. But somehow it still stung. Even our waitress was like, wait, you guys didn't win? Soka was so cute in her little hula girl outfit. I think I'll probably have the picture for the podcast with her at the show. And I did feel that disappointment for a second, and I caught myself. And then I got kind of excited because I realized I could add it to my rejection list. And then that's when something else clicked. This isn't about winning. It's about trying. I actually got another rejection too, and this one wasn't as bad. I was looking forward to it. It was, I asked Andy Pizza, an illustrator and podcaster, to be on the Wildly Unplug podcast, and he got back to me pretty quickly, and he had some nice things to say. So that blow wasn't too bad. And I also feel that telling people I'm doing this 1,000 rejection challenge might make it a little less awkward, or maybe a little bit easier for them to say no, or at least make it easier for them to reply back. So here's what I've learned so far. Week 1 was all about, can I put myself out there? And week 2 became, can I put myself out there after being rejected? Because it's one thing to send the first email, and it's another thing entirely to send the next one after something doesn't work, after something mattered and didn't land. My biggest realization this week is that I don't feel good when I'm stagnant. I feel good when I'm creating and when I'm trying. Even if nothing comes from it, even if it leads to another rejection, there is something about action that restores energy. Not outcomes, not validation, the action. So there's a pattern that I've had before. Try, get discouraged, pause, overthink, and lose momentum for a really long time. And this week, I interrupted it pretty quickly. It wasn't perfectly, but it was intentionally. I felt the pause, and instead of staying there, I started again. And it was because of this challenge. And that's a win that doesn't show up on a spreadsheet. The rejection isn't the hardest part. Restarting after rejection is. And momentum isn't something that you just have. It's something you have to create. And creativity pulls you forward. Stagnation pulls you back. Not everything that matters will land, but it can still become something else. This challenge isn't about building success. It's about building consistency. So here's what I still have got. Lots of opportunities in review, some big asks floating around, and no guarantees on anything. But I also have something more important now. Proof that I can restart. Just like Muhammad Ali said, you don't lose if you get knocked down. You lose if you stay down. So if you're in that space right now where you've had momentum and then you stopped, this is your reminder. You don't have to start over. Just try again. Send the one email, make the one thing, try one more time. Because that's where the shift happens. Not in the win, not in the perfect moment, but in the decision to not stay stuck. So here are some week 2 totals. The stats so far: total asks 34, yeses 3, one very exciting one that I'll have to tell you guys about next week, rejections 6, and still pending and in review 27. I realize that my acceptance rate is about 33%, so that's pretty exciting. And then on Substack in the blog, I'll have a more updated, complex list of the rejections, wins, and still out there in progress if you're curious about that. So again, you can check that out on Substack. I am out of town, so if there's not music added to the intro and outro, that is why. And until next time, unplug, get outside, and see what develops. Wildly Unplug podcast is a production of Wild Development Studio. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by individuals during Wild Development Studio's productions do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Wild Development Studio or its affiliates. Participation in any activities, expeditions, or adventures discussed or promoted during our content may involve inherent risks. It is strongly advised that individuals conduct thorough research, seek professional guidance, and take all necessary precautions before engaging in such activities or venturing into wilderness areas. Wild Development Studio, its representatives, or employees shall not be held responsible for any injury, loss, damage, accident, or unforeseen incident that may occur as a result of participating in activities inspired by or discussed in our content. By choosing to engage with our content or act upon any information provided, individuals do so at their own risk and discretion.
For more great iRaw podcasts, visit irawpod.com. That's IROARPOD.com.